It is December 2012, and the New York-based online retailer Quincy Apparel is rapidly running out of cash. To survive, the startup's co-founders have to walk into tomorrow's board meeting and convince their existing investors to hand over a bridge loan. If they fail, the company dies. The frustrating part of this crisis is that Quincy had actually identified a massive verified market problem. Young professional women were chronically underserved when it came to finding well-fitting, affordable workwear. Looking at Quincy's own target market positioning chart, you can see their goal. They wanted to capture this specific white space, offering the customized fit of a high-end designer label, but at the accessible price point of a mass-market brand. To achieve that designer fit, they threw out the traditional standard dress sizing model, like sizes 0 through 14, and replaced it with a multi-dimensional system. Jackets, for instance, would be sized based on a combination of bra measurements and torso lengths. This fit graphic from their pitch deck illustrates exactly why women were frustrated. It highlights that 42% of target customers found standard suit busts too tight, and 36% found pant lengths too long. The demand for a solution was highly documented. Initially, the market responded exactly as the founders hoped. Early product-market fit indicators were remarkably strong, hitting conversion rates that exceeded 50% among young professional women. They successfully ran trunk shows across Ivy League campuses, generated massive press coverage from outlets like the Wall Street Journal, and secured a highly promising 39% repeat purchase rate from their spring collection. Yet, despite having a product that women clearly wanted to buy, Quincy was functionally bankrupt less than a year after its online launch. High demand and glowing press coverage often mask a fatal internal reality. Surface-level product-market fit is a dangerous illusion if it lacks underlying unit economic control. This financial waterfall chart exposes the severity of their cash hemorrhage. While Quincy projected a healthy 53%, she argued that offering better fit for a broad range of women was their core differentiator. Restricting sizes meant compromising the company's inclusive mission. This deadlock puts the board of directors in an impossible position. They are being asked to provide emergency capital, but they must choose between funding a deeply divided leadership team or forcing a hard pivot against the CEO's wishes. Scaling front-end customer variance before mastering back-end system control is fatal. To understand why the margins collapsed, look at this diagram mapping the baseline mathematics of traditional women's apparel. Standard sizes 0 through 14 represent a simple, linear array of roughly 8 uniform nodes. It is a highly constrained inventory model. Quincy dismantled that linear model. For their jackets, they introduced 5 distinct bust sizes and crossed those with 2 different cup groups. Then they multiplied that matrix by 3 different torso lengths. Suddenly, a single jacket style mathematically explodes into 30 distinct size combinations. The compounding math for bottoms was even more aggressive. Pants required 3 separate fit types, crossed with 10 waist measurements. Finally, they factored in 5 pant lengths. That cascades into a massive, dense web of 150 unique combinations for a single pair. Supporting this architecture across multiple styles and seasonal collections requires an immense amount of upfront inventory capital, physical storage space, and manufacturing flexibility. We can examine this physical apparel problem through the exact same lens a chief technology officer would use to analyze software architecture. Quincy operated like a startup, launching a highly configurable enterprise software platform, offering users thousands of customized front-end settings, without having built the back-end database capable of actually processing those queries. This exponential SKU proliferation destroyed their inventory density and made reliable demand forecasting mathematically impossible. This process flow map details how Quincy tried to handle that massive sizing architecture without drowning in finished inventory. They designed a 2-step postponement model, where large factories would manufacture goods to be about 80% complete. Those unfinished garments were then routed to a central New York City warehouse, where they sat as work-in-progress inventory waiting for a customer to actually place an order. Once an order came in, the specific garments were dispatched from the warehouse to smaller, local finishing factories for final customization, like hemming, before finally shipping to the end customer. This chain required an immense number of vulnerable handoffs, moving from fabric suppliers to pattern makers to large factories to local sewists. The founders assumed they could treat all of these supply chain operations as a fungible commodity, something easily outsourced to various vendors, while the core team focused on building the brand. There is a crucial difference between outsourcing raw physical execution, like sewing, and outsourcing strategic capabilities, like technical design, quality assurance, and fit intelligence. The physical consequences of this error were severe. Factories routinely missed deadlines, changed their initial quotes, and pushed the underfunded startup aside whenever larger clients placed rushed orders. Without strict internal oversight, glaring quality assurance failures reached the end customer. Near look-alike fabrics lacked the right elasticity, jacket linings bled pink dye, and skirts shifted awkwardly on bodies. These specific physical execution failures traced directly back to the company's massive 68% fit-related return rate. By outsourcing their technical design and quality assurance, Quincy lost control of the exact differentiator that defined their brand in the first place. Which brings us back to the boardroom deadlock and the final executive recommendation on whether to fund the company through a bridge loan. The founders' framing of mission versus survival is a false dichotomy. A mission that cannot be operationalized is a liability, not a strategy. The solution to this deadlock is a framework called mission sequencing. Operational viability must be proven on a tightly constrained scope before a company earns the right to scale its complexity. You deliver on a narrow promise profitably today, so you can afford to expand your mission tomorrow. We can use this table of customer segment data to identify exactly what that constrained, minimum viable scope should be. The data reveals that affluent traditionalists and rising stars are the only economically viable core audiences. They carry the highest lifetime value and the lowest merchandise return rates. Conversely, the fit skeptic segment is ruinously expensive to serve, pulling an 85% return rate. The company must immediately cease all marketing to this group. Therefore, option A for the board is to approve the bridge loan, but make it strictly conditional on a radical 6-month operational reset. The terms of this reset must be uncompromising. Freeze all expansion of the product assortment, drastically slash the active SKU matrix, cut non-essential team members, and bring the strategic capability of technical design fully in-house. Option B is straightforward. If the founders cannot explicitly and immediately align on this narrowed scope, the board must vote no. Executing an orderly shutdown now allows the company to pay its suppliers, honor expected returns, and provide severance to its employees. That protects stakeholder trust far better than pouring emergency capital into a divided leadership team. True innovation is, at its core, an operating model problem. A visionary front-end product is useless if the back-end system architecture cannot reliably deliver it.